Welcome to your Time Management Revolution. This is Time Management Fixer Helene Segura. In today's episode, I'll be sharing a previously recorded interview during which we're discussing time management and mind management. Enjoy!
This is episode 67 with Helene Segura. Welcome to the Brave Entrepreneur Podcast. I am your host, Jenna Rodriguez. Entrepreneurs are leading the way and creating a whole new level of possibility. Each week, listen in to hear how brilliant entrepreneurs share their brave secrets to having a thriving business and doing what it really takes to stay in the game. Leave feeling like I can do this after each and every episode. Entrepreneurship is not the easy way. It is the brave way. Now let's get our brave on. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another awesome show, The Brave Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Jenna Rodriguez, and I am your 6- and 7-figure brand strategist helping you make sense of what your brand is. And no, it's not your logo, people. And also how to articulate it and put the message out and the point of view that is uniquely yours out into the world while also profiting from it. So that's who I am, and I'm super excited to bring you another episode of The Brave Entrepreneur. It's a passion project for me, clearly, and it's a huge part of just my point of view that entrepreneurship is not the easy way, it is the brave way. And, and I just realized a couple years ago that it's like, wow, my entire life is made up of all kinds of brave moments. And I just wanted to bring other brave entrepreneurs and other brave individuals to you and really open up the door, right, and kind of crack the window so you could see inside of what it really takes to be an entrepreneur, because it's not all success and rainbows and all of that all day long. You know, we're human too, and I just want this to be a place where you can always be inspired, you can always get some practical advice and inspiration and motivation to stay in the game, because guess what? You know, the biggest thing about entrepreneurship is to never quit. And we're here to help you do that and stay in the game. So welcome to today's episode. We have an amazing guest, Helene Segura, and I want to share with you a little bit of information about her first, and then we will have her share more. And the thing I want you to know about Helene is that she is a time management expert who delivers thought-provoking yet entertaining time management keynotes. No boring time management tasks here, and of course seminars that give busy professionals the powerful strategies and tactics that they need to have to slay their wasted time, which I think is just awesome. We all have the same amount of hours in the day, and I'm excited to hear how she helps to improve efficiency and overall, improve in retention and increase our profits. That's what it's all about. She's authored 2 amazing Amazon best-selling books and has been featured as a productivity expert in more than 100 media interviews, including publications such as U.S. News, World Report, and Money Magazine, among others. And she's got another book out that is called The Inefficiency Assassin, Time Management Tactics for Working Smarter, Not Longer. And I'm excited to hear more about that. She is a fellow Texan, or at least now she is. I believe she was raised in Los Angeles in California, but she is now close to me. I'm in Houston and she's in San Antonio. So welcome to the call, Helene. How are you?
I'm doing great, Jenna. Thank you so much for that intro.
You're welcome. You can take me anywhere with you. Right?
Yeah.
Tell us more about you and what you're up to, and feel free to share whatever comes to mind.
Sure. What I did leave out of bios, especially in dealing with the business world, is my former life as a teacher. So I wasn't always in this business. I started out after college as a high school teacher in a Title I school, and that's where I actually got started with teaching time management because my ninth graders didn't understand the concept of studying ahead of time and turning their assignments in on time. And if you share a room with 4 brothers and sisters and you get home from band practice at 8 o'clock, where are you supposed to study? When are you supposed to study? So I actually started off my adult life as a teacher for 11 years before transitioning into owning my own business. So it's been quite a journey over these last almost 25 years.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And what an intro to time management. I've got a high schooler and a child daughter going into junior high school. So I completely get that. And I remember those days as well, like really learning the magic of time management at an early age. And it's definitely served me well in my later years and certainly as an entrepreneur. So that makes a lot of sense to have that foundation for sure. And so tell us a little more about the brave journey that you've had to go down and travel as you were, like you said, you were a teacher. And so where was the transition into entrepreneurship for you?
I started in the early 2000s as a serial entrepreneur. My fear was that I wouldn't be able to retire at the age I wanted to later on in my teaching career. My first week of teaching, back when I was 22, I saw these teachers walk out of a classroom. They'd had a meeting about retirement, and some of them found out they were going to have to work an extra 5 years or an extra 10 years, and they couldn't retire when they wanted to, and I thought, oh my gosh, I don't want that to happen to me. So in 2001, we had started rental houses and flipping properties. I started a wedding accessory business with bridal emergency kits and going through this whole phase of different businesses, just anything to get some kind of money. And what I started to realize is that the emergency kit business was bringing in more money, so hey, why don't I concentrate on that? And so the bravest thing that I did related to that was, for my last year of teaching, my husband and I knew we had to save up extra money because I was going to stop teaching, leave a steady paycheck, and work on this business full time. Yeah. And what happened was, the month after I submitted my letter of resignation, my biggest supplier completely changed their pricing options and rules, and my business tanked.
Oh, wow.
And yes, and I had no job. Fortunately, I had made enough contacts that I was able to pick up my educational consulting contracts here and there. And that's how we were able to pay the bills. But I had to figure out, oh my goodness, I'm a teacher, but I can't go back into the classroom at this time, so what else can I do? And I thought about, hey, what about teaching people how to be organized and manage their time? Because that's what I did with my students, and my colleagues seemed to love it. So in January of 2006, I started that business, and I am now in my 10th year.
Congratulations on that, first of all. Number one, I appreciate that insight. You know, it's kind of parallel to what I did. I left the cushy salary job that was paying me and took a leap of faith into a business, and a year later it crashed and burned, and I had to file bankruptcy because I was so far in debt with it. It was a storefront. And so I get that, and I also get that I recognize for sure that you didn't turn around and just go walk straight back into the job. Right? You saw what is your skill set, what is your fastest path to cash that you could use, inside of your skill set, and just said yes to yourself, which I think is really powerful for people to hear. It's not always it doesn't always show up the way we want it to show up ultimately, like we have this best intention, like, oh, this is the business I'm going to go create and take off with, and then something happens and it changes course. But it's what we do in response to that I think is the message for everyone to hear. Is mine changed course very drastically as well, and I could have just totally gone into like, poor me, oh my God, I suck, this isn't going to work, what am I thinking? I should just go back and get a job so I can pay for my children and my, family and my mortgage. But it's like, I knew that entrepreneurship was still the way to go. I just had to figure it out. And
right, exactly.
so it's like, I just love when you share something like that, because it's so easiest for us to fall back on certainly what's comfortable or what we know really well. And you know, it's like, oh, this isn't working, so I'm just going to go back and get the JOB. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Some people have to,
Right.
you know, and it depends on your situation. But I think if you can find a skill inside of what you had at the job, which is what you said, right, the time management skills, then just go sell yourself. Go sell it and make money, because you're so much more in control at that point. So very, very good, very great story. I mean, like, that was just really powerful. And so when you said yes to that, when you stepped forward and leaned into that business as, you know, time management, what were some of the main, you know, primary challenges or, you know, even emotional challenges that you had to overcome in that kind of first 6 months to a year when you did that?
One of the first emotional challenges was having in the back of my mind this worry that the same thing could happen to this business as well, and what am I going to do? And I found that when I let that fester in my subconscious, then I wasn't as effective during the day, because if we keep, you know, just trying to harp on our fears and that's all we concentrate on, then we're not as productive with other things. So I had to force myself to remove that fear for the majority of the day and just allow myself, okay, a few minutes of insecurity here and there, but we don't have all day to waste on this insecurity stuff. So it was that fear. And then also, having started out with losing my other business, it's not like I started out with all these tens of thousands of dollars in capital that I could start out and start marketing and have my business on top. So I had to do a lot of learning, and that was a big challenge, is figuring out how I could still market myself without spending millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's, I mean, and me as well, right? That's absolutely parallels some of what I had to go through. And do you remember what was some of the first things you did to get visible in your business?
The first thing I did was I bought those magnetic placards that you put on the side of your car, because I figured I'm driving all over the place begging for work. So as long as I'm out here, then I may as well advertise. And what I found in my area anyway, that was not the big attraction. What really got me business was networking and going to meet people, and not just tossing my business cards at them, but figuring out who they are and who can I connect you with. And through helping them, not necessarily through my business, but just helping them, they remembered me in the future, and that's when business started to pick up.
Yeah, so you and I have the same story. That's crazy, because it's true. Like, I didn't even know what networking is when I got out of the storefront and had to close that down. I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to, you know, get myself out there? I didn't even know what that was. It was kind of new to me at the time, back in 2007. And sure enough, you're absolutely right. Like, that was one of the fastest paths, was just being a resource, being visible, being, you know, helpful, getting to know people in a relational manner. And then it just, the momentum starts to kick in, the traction. So very good. I really wanted people to hear that. It's like, look, you're going to have to hustle. You know, you got to get yourself out there, and it's not just all, you know, behind the computer. And yes, I certainly believe as a brand strategist, there's a way to do both, you know, online and offline. But I definitely agree. Some of the best, you know, connections and fastest path to clients was, you know, by getting out there and getting visible. And I love your car magnet. I call them a car magnet. I don't know what they're still called, but yeah, at least, you know, you might as well put some. You never know if somebody's going to pick up the phone, but at least got some visibility out there.
Well, I figured, okay, I have $40. What can I buy with $40? And that's what I spent my money on. And instead, I started using that $40 for lunches, you know, because I can go to 2 or 3 different functions, and those were a lot more profitable.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, those relationships moved a lot faster than just, you know, hoping someone would pick up the phone on a car magnet. But I think it was still smart. You know, it's low cost entry, right? Low cost. So yeah, I completely get that. So I love this conversation around time management and such. So I'd be I'd love to hear just a couple tips that you may have, just some practical tips around your time management and your point of view about that. I know that a lot of people talk about time management and productivity and things like that. So what's your point of view about it?
Well, I'll share a quick story to get my point across and my overall umbrella view. Back when I was in the serial entrepreneur phase and then starting to focus on the beginning of my business, I was spending all of my time in front of the computer and networking, but, spending a lot of time just in my office and online. And my husband and I were just not talking as much, even though we were living in the same house. And so finally, after a few months of this, my husband yells out from across the house, "Hey, PC junkie, can I make an appointment to see you?" And I thought, oh my gosh, that's terrible. Here I am. I wanted to become an entrepreneur so I could have the freedom to set my schedule. I didn't have to work for the man. I could have any kind of hours I wanted. And then I don't even create hours in the day to see this man who I'm living with.
Right.
And so that was a big wake-up call and the beginning of the whole time management journey. And my philosophy is that we need to understand what our priorities are, both in our personal life and in our work life, because when we just keep them in the back of our heads, we don't think about them when we need to make a decision about our time. That's why if you will post what your top 3 personal priorities are and your top 3 work priorities are, it gets you focused. So that way you can get back on track when something knocks you off, and you will tend to complete your highest value tasks when you understand, oh yes, what I'm about to do will support one of those priorities, as opposed to the low-hanging fruit we tend to procrastinate with. So that is both my philosophy, and the number one tip you can follow is understanding what those high priorities are in your life, so that way you know what to focus on.
Yeah. I love that. And one of the things I intentionally did at the beginning of my business, and I think people expect a lot of it to happen immediately, but it's like, if you are clear, like you said, on clear on your priorities, and you kind of create intentionally the business lifestyle by design, as I call it, and really look at when and how frequently and how often, and when do you set your appointments, and putting boundaries and a framework around your time, then then you have something to work with, and I did that really early on, and just saying, ideally my calendar is 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Like that is, because I've got kids going off to school by 8 a.m. and then I need about an hour to get myself set for the day. And it doesn't mean I'm not working by 8 a.m., but it's like, there's that hour break. And then, I want to be with my family after she gets home, and, with my husband works across in the house too. So it's funny that you say that about making an appointment. I'm like, we share calendars even, so that it's like, look, if you wonder what I'm doing, go to the calendar, see what I'm doing, or text me. And he's in the other room. But the evenings are there to stop and to pause and to be with them, and yet there's a lot of times that it doesn't work ideally, but at least you're creating a foundation to work from, and it's intentional. And I've seen people where it's just like free fall. It's like just whenever the client wants you, and it's like, hold on a minute, who's in charge? It's like, if you let your clients run over your calendar, and and everybody else for that matter, then you can lose perspective and lose control of it. But I love that perspective. I think that is a great place to start, is what do you prioritize in your life. So thank you for that. And so my other question is, and I try to ask this of everyone, is just, what does brave mean to you, and how does it show up in your world?
Brave means recognizing that you do have fear and then moving past it. And I think that there are 2 types of fear to have. One is that nervous fear because you are about to try something new or something bold in your business. And then there's a red flag fear. You have this gut feeling that something you're about to do isn't quite right, or somebody you're meeting with isn't quite right. And so I think if you acknowledge that you do have this fear and then identify one of those which fear it is, and then move past it. I think that's one of the bravest things that you can do, because either way, you're still moving forward.
Right.
Just not necessarily in the direction you perhaps thought, but you're still moving forward and not staying still.
Yeah, and you answered like two of my questions. It's like, what's brave, and what do you do with fear when you face it? And
sorry, I was saving time, so I combined the answer.
No, don't apologize. I love it. Like, right. I think it's perfect that we talk about this because, and your definition of brave is perfect. It always is. It's whatever you perceive it as, and I think that can resonate with people listening. Because truly, to stand in the face of fear, or to own it and to experience it and embrace it and be willing to move through it. And I think you're right. There's a couple different types of fear, especially the ones that, it's like stop touching the hot stove, like standing in the street and you're afraid you're going to get hit. Well, yeah, get out of the street. But when it comes to, knowing you're kind of listening to your gut and understanding that fear and excitement is one, and it's kind of I read this somewhere. I love this quote. It said, fear is simply excitement without the breath. And I was like, awesome. So just breathe, people.
Exactly.
Like physically, there's a reaction that is just, it's like the same thing as excitement, but it's like we're holding our breath in. And, when you can really understand and identify, like you said, what's happening, then you can have a choice. You can choose to move through it, and you can choose to do something proactive with it. And, it's so not about getting rid of fear. I'm like, that's going to exist. It's just what shows up in our uncomfortableness. So being able to have those practical steps that you just shared, I think is really powerful. So awesome. So I think you said you've been in this time management, productivity expert world for about 10 years. Is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay. And so I love to kind of like go through that 10-year period and look at, because I'm very familiar with, the up-leveling, right? The graduating, it's like, okay, I'm a startup, I'm a newbie, I've done this much, and now it's time to even be bigger, play bigger. And so what would be the next brave thing that you had to kind of experience or move through inside of your business over the last 10 years?
I would say quite a bit happened at the very beginning, because I started my own business, and then about 8 months into it, I was doing okay, but certainly not setting the world on fire. I was approached by an organizing consultant in Austin, which is a 2-hour drive from San Antonio, and she said, I realize you own your own business, but I get so many calls for San Antonio. How would you feel about coming to work for me? And I thought, well, this is interesting, because I left teaching because I did not want a boss, and now here I am considering a boss. And we met, and at that time I thought, this is perfect for me, because she would take a lot of the owner pressure off me, and I could just focus on what I love and hone my skills.
Right.
But within a year of being an employee, she created a global business. It's an online website. It was global within 2 months, and there was no way she could handle the local business and the global as well. So she wound up selling the San Antonio office to me. So here I was back to being the owner, and then sold the Austin office to another party. So all three of us are still business partners in a way, but for legal and tax reasons, we have 3 separate entities.
Yep.
We all still work together, but just all of this happened within a 2-year period. Not having a business, starting my own business, closing it and going to work for somebody, and then buying that business that I was working for. So it was insane. 24 months, that's a lot of change to go through and a lot of learning to go through, but it was also really exhilarating, because I felt like even as an employee, I was still in control of my destiny. And then when I went back to being an owner, I was definitely in control of everything. So it was quite a journey the first 2 years. And then the rest of that time has been spent on honing my craft, making sure that I keep up with the latest marketing tactics and SEO tactics and all that good stuff.
Right.
But really just focusing on my craft and just moving above and beyond what is out there, because I'm very competitive and I always want to be the best at everything.
Right.
So I wanted to make sure that I was working my way up to the top.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that is a lot of transition and a lot of kind of boomeranging, as I call it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, just being able to you know, to maneuver and to kind of do it eloquently, you know, through all of that, and just
Mm-hmm.
really be able to, you know, make the best of the situation, which it sounds like you have, and so congratulations on that. And you know, and it just is, sometimes we're shared, you know, or what I meant was opportunities show up, and we have to assess
Mm-hmm.
them and really identify, is this the best thing for right now? And you know, and I think sometimes people try to move through their I don't know what you feel, but I feel like some people try to move through their business like, I'm an accelerator, I'm ambitious, I'm like, yeah, let's do this, you know, but I
Mm-hmm.
also know there's a right time for things, and, you know,
Right.
and strategic ways to do things so that you're not, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
wiping yourself out or growing so expediently that you know, the bottom falls out.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so I don't know if you have something to add to that, but I feel like there's always opportunities showing up all the time. So what is it for you that helps you identify what's the right opportunity to say yes to, and maybe something that's just not the thing to do?
I actually take a look at my calendar, because
Okay.
opportunities tend to land in my lap quite often. So the first thing I do is I look to see, well, do I actually have time for this opportunity? And if I do, then great. If it makes sense business-wise, then, and you know, it's pretty low risk, then I'll go ahead and take on this opportunity. But if there's not room in my calendar, then I need to ask myself, is this opportunity so great that I'm going to take something off my calendar or move it to later because this is an opportunity of a lifetime? So that's pretty much how I assess my opportunities. It's based on my calendar, my time, the risk factor, and, you know, how great is this going to be?
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes, you know, I think that's great. All that parameter, you know, and kind of the gut check and the strategic check, right? And sometimes then you just, you know, there's a leap of faith, because sometimes you can't see what the impact's all going to be,
Right.
you know. But it's like you got to make the best strategic decision as possible, you know, and then go from there. And I call it. And this may be useful to someone listening, but I call it the input versus the impact decision.
Nice.
You know, looking at the input, how much time, energy, space, you know, money, resource does it take? And, you know, if it's low but the impact's high, well, then consider it, right?
Sure.
Or put it closer to the top of the list. But if it's, you know, high input and high impact, you got to make sure that you've got the time and space for it to really make it, you know, worth your time and money and energy. So I love that. I think it's very similar to what you're saying. And so I can't believe our time's like coming to an end here, but I just love what you're doing. And I meant to tell you before our call, you know, before we started the show, is I do appreciate you gave me a copy of your book, and I think and I started skimming it and getting into it, and I think it's brilliant. And you know, you've just got some great practical advice and insight, and so just wanted to make sure people know to take advantage of that book. And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's called The Inefficiency Assassin, right? That's what I mentioned at the top of the hour.
That is correct.
Yep. Okay, good. And so I would love at this moment to share with the audience, if you would, just how do you want them to connect with you? What's the best way for them to get to know you and reach out to you?
If they go to my website, theinefficiencyassassin.com, you'll see all the different social media platforms to contact me on, because I know people are on different things.
Right.
And also my email, my phone number, everything is on there, so you can contact me through those old-fashioned methods as well.
Awesome. They still work.
Yes, they do. Phones work.
They all work. Awesome. Wonderful. So, yeah, we'll make sure that web address is also in the show notes. And I know there was something you said that was some kind of complimentary invitation. Did you want to tell more about that?
Yes, I would love to. I have a productivity Kickstarter kit, and it has the 2 different time management templates that I use with my clients, and there's some instructions on how to use them. I've got some recordings on there about how to create time for exercise. There is a webinar in there about how to avoid procrastination, so there's all sorts of good stuff, resources, and tools that you can use. If you go to timemanagementrevolution.com and you just submit the form there, you will be able to download all of those resources.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. I love that gift. I think it's very practical and useful, and so we'll make sure that's also noted. And just please, everyone, take advantage of this. You know, everybody's got time, the same time in the same day, same space, all of that, but it's so much about what you choose to do with it and how strategic you are around it, and what, like Helene said, like what you prioritize. And so thank you so much for being on the show. This has been fantastic. I love your energy, and I also love the content, and it may not be the sexiest thing to talk about, but it's absolutely necessary, and it drives our day in and day out. And if we aren't, paying attention to it, our time does fly by. It's amazing how fast it goes. And, and yet, for entrepreneurs, it's something to learn to master. It's something that we can really expand our knowledge and experience around. So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And please, if you have one final thought, what would that be?
I would like everybody to know that you do have the power to tell your time what to do.
Oh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's so true. It really is. I love that. Well, so thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate it. And
thanks, Jenna.
Yeah, you're welcome. And to everyone listening, as I always remind you, until next time, let's go get our brave on. Bye, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Brave Entrepreneur Podcast. If you did, please subscribe at iTunes and visit www.thebravepodcast.com and leave a comment or 2 on the show notes page. Join the conversation, share your ahas, and let us know what your brave secrets are. While you're there, be sure to grab one of my many free resources. The Brand Score and the Money Magnetism Assessment are great at showing you where you are now, so you know what you need to do to be where you want to be in your business. That's at www.thebravepodcast.com. Visit today and let's get our brave on.